Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Charane Trinadapi Sunichena Toradiva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Namaiva Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatir Anyata Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Haraye Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Rama Shri Madhusudana Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jasodanandana Gopi Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. For my introduction, I found this quote in the purport to the Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, Chapter 9. There Prabhupada writes, as in Bhagavad-gita, 10th chapter, the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, has summarized the whole text in 4 verses, namely, Ahang Sarvasya Prabhava, verses 8 through 11. And so the complete Srimad Bhagavatam has also been summarized in 4 verses in the 2nd canto, 9th chapter, verses 33 through 36. And the reason why I use that as my introduction, because once I said that in a lecture, and a particular temple president afterwards said, Prabhupada never said that, and I knew that I had read it. So I did the research, and so I always mark that whenever I am asked to speak. So just as there are nutshell verses in Bhagavatam, these are the 4 nutshell verses of Bhagavad-gita. I have designed this class according to different levels. The first level is just the shloka and the translation. Ahang sarvasya prabhavo mattak sarvang pravartate iti matva bhajante mang buddha bhava samanvita. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Machchitta madgata prana bodhayantak parasparam katayantascha mang nityang tushyanti cha ramanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Teshang satatayuktanang bhajatang pritipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yena mam upayantite. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Tesham ivanukampartam aham agyana jangtama nashayam yatma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So you have probably noticed that some of the words have colors to them. And I have devised this program many years ago as a way to help me learn the shloka and purport much better. With certain words colorized, it makes the subject matter easier for me to understand. I hope it does something for you as well. So now we go to the second level, which is the word-for-word synonyms. And I read many years ago a letter that Prabhupada wrote to one of his disciples. He said that by just going over the synonyms, you can find lots of information to preach on. And I've used that technique since then, and I have found it to be very, very fruitful. So let's go over word for word. Ramachandra mentioned that in 1975, I received second initiation, but more details. I received that second initiation in Vrindavan directly from Srila Prabhupada. Not everybody got their initiation directly. Many times it was a sannyasi or a temple president on behalf of Prabhupada. So my second initiation was right there with Srila Prabhupada. And when I got second initiation, I sat right next to him, and we went over the 7 Gayatri mantras that we chant in ISKCON, and we went over each word, and I had to repeat after Prabhupada, Om, Om, Bur, Bur, like that. So I can still remember that scene, that Prabhupada going over each word with me and hearing me repeat after him. So let's look at the first shloka. Aham, I. Krishna is speaking this verse. Sarvasya, of all. Prabhava, the source of generation. Mattak, from me. Sarvam, everything. Pravartate, emanates. So that is the opening line. Krishna is saying, I am the source of generation of all. Everything emanates from me. So that indicates that Krishna is the absolute truth. Iti, thus, matva, knowing, bhajante, become devoted. We're going to discuss bhajante in the 3rd section. Mam, unto me, buddha, the learned, bhava samanvita, with great attention. And we're also going to study this word bhava in the next section as well. So this second part of the shloka is indicating that if you have actually understood that Krishna is the source of generation of everything, and that everything emanates from Krishna, then the proof that you have understood that is that you become devoted to Krishna with great attention. If that does not happen, if you do not become devoted to Krishna with great attention, that means you have not properly understood that Krishna is the source of generation of everything, that everything comes from Krishna. This is the proof. Next verse. Much chitta, their minds fully engaged in me. Mat gata prana, their lives devoted to me. Prana, the life force. So the pure devotees, they give heart and soul to Krishna. Bodhayantak, preaching. Yes, Prabhupada has taught us, preaching is the essence. Parasparam, among themselves. Katayanta, talking. Cha, also. Mam, about me. So yes, devotees are meant to preach and talk about Krishna, not gramya katha, not mundane topics. A devotee is one who is always talking about Krishna. Krishna katha, like the word here. Katayanta, talking, topics. So katha, topic, Krishna katha. Devotees are always preaching and talking amongst themselves about Krishna. Nityam, perpetually. Tushyanti, become pleased. Cha, also. Ramanti, enjoy transcendental bliss. So this word ramanti, we're also going to study more in depth in the 3rd part of this class. So by talking and preaching about Krishna, tushyanti ramanti, you become pleased and you enjoy transcendental bliss. So I have to admit, yes, this is one reason why I like to do these Zoom classes. This is why I like to travel and preach. Ramachandra mentioned some of the places I have visited. I also preached in South India, in some South Indian temples. So if you become a preacher, then you will enjoy transcendental bliss and you will become pleased. And I have to admit, after doing these programs, I am very, very, very happy. I did one last night, and afterwards, I was ecstatic. Last night, I did a program about Ganga Sagara, how Ganga came down by the request of Bhagirath. And after the hour, I was completely happy. Next verse. Tesham, unto them. So, the word them is in yellow because it's referring to the pure devotees. Satata yuktanam, always engaged. That's the mark of a pure devotee. Always engaged. Always engaged in what? Bhajatam, in rendering devotional service. There are 9 kinds of devotional service, and the devotee is marked, the pure devotee is marked as always engaging in 1, 2, 3 or more items of devotional service. Right now, you are doing Shravanam, hearing. So to the degree that you're paying attention and not becoming distracted, then you are transcending by devotional service. Priti Purvakam, in loving ecstasy. Yes, the devotees are indicated because they love Krishna. I once asked Srila Prabhupada in Atlanta in 1975. He was giving the Sunday feast. At that time, I was a brahmachari. So I thought to myself, this may be my only chance. So I raised my hand and I asked Prabhupada, what pleases you the most? And Prabhupada responded, when you love Krishna. So that I took as an instruction from my spiritual master. I took that as a personal instruction that my goal in life is to learn how to love Krishna. Dadami, Krishna says, I give. Buddhi yogam, real intelligence. So buddhi means intelligence, but when linked with the word yogam, then it means that this intelligence is in connection with Krishna. It's not material intelligence. It's spiritual. That's why the word Prabhupada chooses real intelligence. Material intelligence is unreal intelligence. But real intelligence is that intelligence which is connected with Krishna. Tam, that. Yena, by which. Mam, unto me. Upayanti, come. Te, they. So the devotees, if they have this love for Krishna, then Krishna gives what? Real intelligence by which we can go to Krishna. That's what Krishna wants. Krishna wants us to return, as Prabhupada has said so many times, back home, back to Godhead, which means originally we were with Krishna. Otherwise, Prabhupada would not use the word back. Back means you're returning to some place from which you came. So back home, back to Godhead means originally we were with Krishna. And Krishna wants us to return to Him. So Krishna is the one who will give us the real intelligence how to return to Him if we are always engaged in rendering devotional service in loving ecstasy. So the final of the Catuh-shloki of Gita, Tesham, for them, again, devotees. Eva, certainly. Anukampa artam. We will study this word anukampa in the next section as well. To show special mercy. So Krishna is merciful to all his parts and parcels. But for the devotees, the pure devotees, Krishna shows special mercy. Aham, I. Ajnana jam. So jam means to take birth. So ajnana, jnana means knowledge. Ajnana means unknowledge or ignorance. So we are in material life, we are bitten by this ignorance. As the song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jeev jago, Gora Chandra bole, Kota nidra jao maya pisa chira kole. We have placed our heads on the lap of the witch called Maya. Why? Due to ignorance. And therefore, Tama, we are in darkness. But look at this next word, Nashayami. Krishna dispels the darkness of ignorance. This is Krishna's special mercy for the devotees. Atma Bhav, within their hearts. Yes, Krishna is within our hearts as Paramatma. So we read in Bhagavad-gita that Paramatma is doing many things. Anumanta hi upadrashta. Two things he is doing: overseeing, witnessing, and sanctioning, permitting. And also we learn in Bhagavad-gita, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sanivishta, matak smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Krishna in the heart is also giving knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. Krishna, so this verse is directly showing how he gives special knowledge, special mercy. But in terms of forgetfulness, how does Krishna use forgetfulness for the devotee? Krishna causes the devotee to forget his bad materialistic desires which he had cultivated in previous lifetimes. We have a huge stock of desires. But once we surrender to Krishna, Krishna helps us by not reminding us of so many unwanted desires. That's what Krishna does. He helps us to remember him and helps us to forget our material desires. Sta, situated. Jnana, of knowledge. Deepena, with the lamp. Just like during the month of Kartik, every day we offer the lamp to Damodar. And in the temples, because there are so many devotees, there are so many lamps. So there is a lamp of knowledge. And Krishna provides that lamp of knowledge, Bhasvata, glowing. It is a glowing lamp. So these are what Krishna does. So now we go to level 3. Before we go to level 3, I will take a short commercial break and do a short kirtan. I have found that by breaking it up into short segments becomes much more palatable. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So now we're going to go deeper. As I pointed out, there were certain words which I wanted to discuss more. So the first word was bhajante in the 8th shloka, or the first of the Catuh-shloki. This is from Bhagavad-gita, chapter 6, the final verse of chapter 6. This is where this excerpt comes from. The word bhajate is significant here. Bhajate has its root in the verb bhaj, which is used when there is need of service. The English word worship cannot be used in the same sense as bhaj. Worship means to adore or to show respect and honor to the worthy one. But service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can avoid worshiping a respectable man or demigod and may be called discourteous, but one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned. Every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus every living entity is intended to serve the Supreme Lord by his or her own constitution. Failing to do this, one falls down. The Bhagavatam confirms this as follows. Yaeshang Purushang Sakshad Atma Prabhavam Ishwaram Na Bhajantya Bhajananti Shtanad Brashta Patantyada. Anyone who does not render service and neglects his or her duty unto the primeval Lord, who is the source of all living entities, will certainly fall down from one's constitutional position. In this Bhagavatam verse also, the word bhajanti is used. Therefore, bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, whereas the word worship can be applied to demigods or to any other common living entity. The word avajananti used in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is also found in Bhagavad-gita. Avajananti mang mudha. Only the fools and rascals deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. The next word is bhava, which was also found in the first of the Catuh-shlokis. And for this, we are going to the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela in the chapter known as Life's Ultimate Goal love of Godhead. There, Lord Chaitanya is instructing Sanatan Goswami. If one actually has the seed of transcendental emotion in one's heart, the symptoms will be visible in one's activities. That is the verdict of all revealed scriptures. These are the 9 symptoms of a person who has developed attraction, bhava, for Krishna. So the first one is kshanti, forgiveness. One is not agitated by material things. Avyarta kalatvam, being free from wasting time. Not a moment should be lost. Every moment should be utilized for Krishna or connected with him. Number 3, virakti, detachment. In the material field, people are interested in material enjoyment, mystic power, and sense gratification. But all these things do not appeal to the devotee at all. Number 4, mana shunyata, absence of false prestige. Although a pure devotee's standard is above all, he or she still considers oneself to be in the lowest stage of life. Number 5, asha bandha, hope. A fully surrendered devotee always hopes that Lord Krishna will be kind to one. This hope is very firm in the devotee, as in this prayer. O my Lord Krishna, I do not have any love for you, nor am I qualified for discharging devotional service by chanting and hearing, nor do I possess the mystic power of a Vaishnava, knowledge, or pious activities, nor do I belong to a very high caste family. On the whole, I do not possess anything. Still, O beloved of the gopis, because you bestow your mercy on the most fallen, I have an unbreakable hope that is constantly in my heart, and that hope is always giving me pain. Number 6, sumutkanta, eagerness, chiefly characterized by an ardent desire to associate with Krishna. Number 7, namagane sada ruchi, always having a taste for chanting the holy names. Due to having great relish for the holy name, one is inclined to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra constantly. So let's all chant together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And number 8, asakti tat guna akyane, attachment in describing the transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna. A devotee has awakened the tendency to chant and describe the transcendental qualities of Krishna. He or she has attachment for this process. And finally, number 9, priti tat vasati stale, affection for Krishna's places of Krishna's residence, such as the temple or holy places. A devotee absorbed in ecstatic emotion for Krishna always resides in a place where Krishna's pastimes were performed. The next word found in the second of the Catuh-shloki was the word ramanti. And for this one, I found this verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is actually the 8th verse of the Shatanam Stotra of Lord Ramachandra, which is found originally in the Padma Purana. Ramante yogino nante satyanande chid atmani iti rama padenasau parang brahma bidhiyate. The supreme absolute truth is called Rama because the transcendentalists take pleasure in the unlimited true pleasure of spiritual existence. So, as devotees, we are tasting spiritual pleasure, true pleasure. The reason material pleasure is not true pleasure, it is because it is limited and temporary. You may experience happiness as stated in Bhagavad-gita in chapter 18. You may experience happiness in the mode of goodness, passion, or even ignorance. But regardless, whatever pleasure you enjoy in the modes of nature, it's limited and temporary. It doesn't last. But Rama, right, unlimited true pleasure of spiritual existence. The next word was found in the third of the Catuh-shloki, Buddhi Yogam. This verse of the Bhagavad-gita 10:10, this is excerpts from Chaitanya Charitamrita. This verse of Bhagavad-gita clearly states how Govinda Dev instructs his bona fide devotee. Krishna declares that by enlightenment in theistic knowledge, Krishna awards attachment for him to those who constantly engage in his transcendental loving service. This awakening of divine consciousness enthralls a devotee who thus relishes his or her eternal transcendental mellow. Such an awakening is awarded only to those convinced by devotional service about the transcendental nature of the personality of Godhead. They know that the supreme truth, the all-spiritual, all-powerful person, is one without a second. Just like there is another Sanskrit word, asamaurdva. You find this verse early in the first canto of Bhagavatam. Prabhupada explains, asama urdhva. No one is equal to the absolute truth, and no one is beyond. So that is Krishna. As it says here, one, no one is equal to him, no one is greater. And he has fully transcendental senses. Krishna is the fountainhead of all emanations. Such pure devotees, always merged in knowledge of Krishna and absorbed in Krishna consciousness, exchange thoughts and realizations, just as great scientists exchange their views and discuss the results of their research in scientific academies. Such exchanges of thoughts in regard to Krishna give pleasure to the Lord, who therefore favors such devotees with all enlightenment. And this is what giving and hearing a class is all about. Giving a class or a lecture is exactly this. The speaker is sharing his or her realizations of their own Krishna consciousness and sharing it with the audience. So if the audience is sincere and serious, and the speaker shares their honest realizations, then it becomes a very nice exchange. The purport continues. Herein should be the attitude of all devotees. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead recognizes a devotee, Krishna gives one intelligence and dictates how he or she may go back home, back to Godhead. The opportunity to engage in the transcendental loving service of Krishna is open to everyone. Because every living entity is constitutionally a servant of Krishna, to engage in the service of Krishna is the natural function of the living entity. But because one is covered by the influence of Maya, or the material energy, one thinks it to be a very difficult task. But if one places him or herself under the guidance of a spiritual master and does everything sincerely, immediately the Lord, who is situated within everyone's heart, dictates how to serve him. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. So this word right here, sincerely, that is the key. All we have to do as devotees is be sincere and serious, and if we can achieve that, Dadami buddhi yogam tam, Krishna will give us the intelligence how to go back to Godhead. Krishna gives this direction, and thus the devotee's life becomes perfect. Whatever a pure devotee does is done by the dictation of the Supreme Lord. Yes, there is a famous story. One time, I believe it was 1976, Prabhupada was in New York, probably right after Rath Yatra. And Prabhupada was being interviewed by the newspaper Newsday. It's a famous newspaper of Long Island. So the newspaper man was questioning Prabhupada. How do you decide when to open a temple? How do you decide to do this? And Prabhupada started to speak, but Prabhupada's secretary, Rameshwara Maharaj, he interjected and said, oh, Prabhupada uses his intelligence. Prabhupada immediately cut off Rameshwar and said, no, I get dictation directly from Krishna. That shocked everybody. Prabhupada made it clear. He gets his decisions directly from Krishna. The purport continues. In Bhagavad-gita, it is said, Yeya tamang prapadyante, tangs tataiva bhajamyaham. There is a responsive cooperation between the Supreme Lord Krishna and his devotees. The more a devotee sincerely loves Krishna, the more Krishna reciprocates. So much so that a highly advanced devotee can talk with Krishna face to face. Krishna confirms this in Bhagavad-gita. So, here's how I know I am not a highly advanced devotee, because I am not on this stage of talking with Krishna face to face. When I'm on that stage, then I'll be considered a highly advanced devotee. Until then, no. The actual mission of human life is to understand Krishna and return home back to Godhead. Therefore, one who is sincerely engaged in the service of the Lord with love and faith can talk with Krishna and receive instructions by which he or she can speedily return home back to Godhead. Both the Gyanis and Karmis depend on direct sense perception for their imperfect knowledge. The Karmis never agree to accept anything not directly perceived, and the Gyanis put forth only hypotheses. However, the Vaishnavas, the unalloyed devotees of the Lord, do not follow the process of acquiring knowledge by direct sense perception or mental speculation. Because they are servants of the Supreme Lord, devotees receive knowledge directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he speaks it in Bhagavad-gita, or sometimes as he imparts it from within as Chaitya Guru. So This much I can say. From time to time, I do get quote unquote text messages from Krishna within the heart. Because throughout my life and throughout day to day, so many problems arise. And sure enough, so many times this has happened. I get a text message in my heart from Krishna, and that's the answer. It has happened so many times. Maybe it has happened to you, but I certainly can accept that Krishna is in my heart and is helping me. One should not hear anything about Krishna from the Vaishnava, however great a mundane scholar he or she may be. Milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effects. Similarly, talks about Krishna given by the Vaishnava are also poisonous. However, because a Vaishnava is surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's talks are spiritually potent. When a pure Vaishnava speaks, one speaks perfectly. How is this? One's speech is managed by Krishna himself from within the heart. Those who are actually pure devotees of the Lord are instructed by the Lord through the heart, where the Lord is always situated. If one follows the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entity, even though an insignificant creature, can perform the most difficult tasks by the Lord's grace. Everything is possible for a pure devotee because he or she acts under the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Through Krishna's inconceivable energy, a pure devotee can perform tasks that are supposed to be very, very difficult. One can perform tasks not even previously performed by the Lord himself. Such an empowered devotee sees and feels oneself to be the lowest of men, for one knows that whatever he or she does is due to the inspiration given by the Lord in the heart. To be empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one has to qualify him or herself. This means that one must engage 24 hours daily in the loving devotional service of the Lord. The material position of a devotee doesn't matter because devotional service is not dependent on material considerations. As stated in Bhagavad-gita, Ishvara sarva bhutanang hrideshe arjun tishtati. Staying within everyone's heart, Lord Krishna works very gravely. No one can understand how Krishna is working, but as soon as Krishna understands the sincere activity of a person in devotional service, Krishna helps him or her in such a way that the devotee cannot understand how things are happening. If the devotee is determined to serve Krishna, Krishna is always prepared to help him or her. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not partial to some and neutral to others. One can actually draw the attention of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by service. Then one is further empowered by the Lord to act in such a way that everyone can appreciate one's service. Krishna is responsive. If one tries to render his or her best service to Krishna, Krishna gives one the power to do so. And so our final word, which appears in the last of the Catuh-shloki, Anunkampa Artam. In Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says that in order to show special favor to his pure devotees, Krishna personally eradicates the dense darkness of all misgivings by switching on the light of pure knowledge within the heart of a devotee. Therefore, because of the personality of Godhead's taking charge of illuminating the heart of his devotee, certainly a devotee engaged in his service in transcendental love cannot remain in darkness. He or she comes to know everything of the absolute and the relative truths. The devotee cannot remain in darkness, and because a devotee is enlightened by the personality of Godhead, his or her knowledge is certainly perfect. For a devotee who has taken the lotus feet of the Lord within one's heart, Krishna gives spiritual enlightenment known as Jnana Deepa by special mercy from within. This Jnana Deepa is compared to the fire hidden within Arani wood. To perform fire sacrifices, great sages previously did not ignite a fire directly. The fire would be invoked from Arani wood. Similarly, all living entities are covered by the modes of material nature, and the fire of knowledge can be ignited only by the Supreme Personality of Godhead when one takes Krishna within one's heart. Savai manak Krishna padaravindayo. If one seriously takes the lotus feet of Krishna, who is situated in everyone's heart, Krishna eradicates all ignorance. By the torch of knowledge, one immediately understands everything properly by the special mercy of the Supreme Lord and becomes self-realized. In other words, although a devotee may externally not be very well educated, because of his or her devotional service, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives one enlightenment from within. If the Lord gives enlightenment from within, how can one be in ignorance? Sadhavo hridayang mayam, sadhunang hridayang tvaham, mad anyate na jananti, nahang tebyo managapi. Lord Narayan advised Durvasa Muni, the pure devotee is always within the core of my heart, and I am always in the heart of the pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I do not know anyone else but them. Although Durvasa Muni was a great mystic Brahmana, he did not know what is what. That is the difference between a pure devotee and a so-called learned scholar of Vedic knowledge. The devotees, being always situated in the core of the Lord's heart, surely get all instructions directly from the Lord, as confirmed by Krishna himself in Bhagavad-gita. The devotee does not do anything not sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the most learned or experienced person cannot understand the movements of the Vaishnava, a pure devotee. No one, therefore, should criticize a pure Vaishnava. A Vaishnava knows one's own business. Whatever he or she does is precisely right, because one is always guided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, before I answer any question, I'd like to end this portion by chanting the Nrsimha prayers. And these Nrsimha prayers I want to bless you all that you are protected from coronavirus, not just 19, corona 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So for a year now, every program that I do, I always end with this Nrsimha prayer and always offer it to the audience. I'm very, very, very pleased that, wow, 55, this is the biggest program I've ever done. Therefore, you get the bell. Wow, New Jersey, you rock. This is the biggest crowd, wow. I thought my class is so long, there's only going to be 5 people left. Ramachandra, you're doing such a fantastic job. Thank you. All right, let's do these Nrsimha prayers, and then I will answer any questions. And then after that, I'll do one rock and roll song. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praklada Klada Dayane. Praklada Klada Dayane. Hiranya Kashipur Vakshaha. Hiranya Kashipur Vakshaha. Shilatankana Kalaye. Ito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimha. Yato yato yamitato Nrsimha. Bahir Nrsimha Hridaya Nrsimha. Nrsimham Adim Sharanam Prapadye. Nrsimham Adim Sharanam Prapadye. Nrsimham Adim Sharanam Prapadye. Tavakara Kamala Varenakam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahadi Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Keshavadrita Narahadi Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajacharya Astotra Satta Sri Siman. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Syama Kunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Yamuna Devi Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. ISKCON of Bergen, New Jersey ki jai. ISKCON of Bergen, New Jersey ki jai. ISKCON of Bergen, New Jersey ki jai. And special ki jai to my good friend Ramachandra Das, who allowed me this ecstasy. I am so ecstatic right now. Thank you. But I see that there are no questions. So I guess everything was simple.